Hello and welcome. I am NBG and welcome to the Dragonflight beta. Yes, that's right, I finally got into the Dragonflight beta. Better late than never, but now we get to come on here and experience some of the professions together. I've went ahead and I've already spent maybe 4 or 5 hours this morning, honestly, going over just one profession and really trying to dig deep and learn a bit. And I am now here to share with you what I've learned and kind of what I'm thinking. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So here we are in the beta. I have already gone ahead and learned Jewelcrafting. That's the one we're going to discuss today. The reason why I picked Jewelcrafting is simply because my warrior, is Jewelcrafting. So that was the first one I wanted to look into, just because it's more than likely going to be what I play first, probably that and or Evoker. And I wanted to kind of at least look at the initial professions that those characters would have. So I decided, as much as Jewelcrafting has never been a main moneymaker for me, I wanted to look at it and kind of just consider everything, since I really don't know how it's going to work yet with alts, and how easy or hard is it going to be to get to the point where you can just focus on crafting, right? Like, is it going to be, think of Shadowlands, where you had to go through that intro scenario and all that kind of stuff and get to Ouroboros. I mean, I understand that that's not a thing, but I'm just meaning, like, where is the point that you need to get to where you can just be a full-on crafter and you don't care anymore, right? I don't know what that is because I haven't played through. I haven't seen stuff. I'm just unaware of that. So I'm focusing right now on just what my character does currently, and that character does jewel crafting. So let's go ahead and take a look. I've already gone through all of this myself, and I just decided that I was going to walk with you guys through it and talk about it as I go. I've gone ahead and I've gathered some ore of all three qualities, and then some other couple miscellaneous things that are used for some of the crafting recipes. Nothing much. I'll have to get more, but let's go ahead and move that out of the way. So here we are. We're at level 1 jewel crafting, and what can we see? First of all, you see I'm selected on prospecting. Prospecting, there's just this handy dandy little select what you want to prospect. I can select this, this white T1 ore. I can prospect all. It doesn't do it all at once, it does it each stack at a time, but regardless, I can just prospect this way. You see over here you have a recipe difficulty, and the recipe difficulty is, exactly as it says. It determines how much skill is required to make this recipe at its highest quality. You have skill. Skill is gotten from many sources. It's gotten from actually skilling up. So if I go up one, like let's go ahead and prospect one time. Did I do it? Oh, I did. I just went too quick. Alright. I just prospected one time, and as you can see here, skill has gone up to 2. This bar technically moves just a tad bit, and also my jewel crafting's at 2. You see over here the yellow up arrow, high chance of gaining skill, so if you want to gain actual skill points, that's how you do that. And then you see the other arrows, the orange ones, that just means it's guaranteed to give you a skill up. So as I go through here, the big thing is, like, prospecting, you can only get skill up to like level 5. Like, once you hit jewel crafting 5, I believe it's 5, you will stop. As you can see, it's already like green now, but like you can only get up to like jewel crafting 5, I believe, and then you stop gaining skill from prospecting. So obviously if the expansion was starting, that's what you'd want to do. You'd want to prospect up to 5 before you do anything else. Let's just do a couple more prospects just so I have a few materials lying around. You see this handy dandy little menu crafted items, kind of like if you were looting. First of all, I think it's absolutely awesome. See, in that prospect I got a T1 of a blue. Let's just go in here and, God, I need a new spot for that. Go away. Let's go ahead in here and move a few of these things around. So let's gather some of the T1 materials. Let's do the T2. That's garbage. You get stone as well. T1 emerald. T1 there, and then glass. And those are kind of the primary things that you're getting. So you're going to be getting each of the different gems. You have a chance, hopefully, to get like a blue gem. And everything right now is going to be 1, like that first quality tier. Reason being is because our skill and inspiration and stuff is not high enough. Let's quickly talk about inspiration. Inspiration is essentially crit chance. It's essentially crit chance for crafting. You can see here that I have a 5% chance to be inspired. When I am inspired, I will then craft the recipe as if I have 100 more skill. So if I have 5 skill here and I get inspired, I'll be crafting it at 105 skill, which could take you to the next level. As you can read right here, it requires 179 skill to guarantee T2 quality. So obviously my combination of inspiration and skill is too low. Even if I hit the inspiration, it's too low and will not hit the T2 quality, which is why you see everything here T1. You also get other things like fractured glass that are used in certain things, and crumbled stone. As I go through and discuss this, I'm going to discuss this in the basis of how live works and the methods in which you make money on live, because anything that's new, well, it's new, and I'm not going to, we don't know what is going to be highly sought after, but we're going to talk about that. So there we go. We have prospecting 5, and you can see that the specialization tree, you must reach level 25 in Jewelcrafting. So we have to get this to 25. We can see over here, actually let's prospect just a little bit more. I'm going to finish prospecting this T1 material real quick. So there we have it. That was my haul from just doing 200 of the ore at like base starting level. You see I got a different assortment of the base gems, and then I ended up with about 5 total of the blue gems. So we need to get our Jewelcrafting up. You can see a couple things. First, let's look at this skill up. This means this is guaranteed, or at least has a high chance to give me a skill up when I craft it. Let's go ahead and craft one. Crafting one, you can see up here it says first time craft bonus. What does that mean? Well, the first time crafting bonus will give you these items here. Artisan metal. Now, you only get these, I believe, on a first time craft, and these are used through many different things, and they're fairly valuable. I'm assuming there's probably going to be like world quests and other things that will allow you to get artisan's metal. And yeah, it's you gather each time you gain new knowledge, like each time you craft an item for the first time. But you also gain something else, which we actually can't see until we hit 25, but crafting something for the first time is what is going to give you your skill points. I'll get to that when we get there. Right now, let's go ahead and look at, where's that gem I just crafted? There it is. So there's the gem I just crafted. This is just a stamina gem. It's T1 quality. You can see that I need to reach 59 skill to guarantee T2. You can see I'm currently at skill 6, and that is primarily only on the level of my Jewelcrafting. My Jewelcrafting's 6, which right now my skill is 6. You can see here that if I become inspired with my current 5% chance, I'll gain additional 33 skill, which is not quite enough to up it to the next quality. Let's go ahead here and craft what I have. You can see it's already going down to a lesser chance to get a skill up. Maybe if I get lucky, we'll hit 10 on it. Nope, I did not. Regardless, let's go ahead and check the vendor real quick and see if there's anything new. There's a few new things, and it looks like you get a few more things at 10 as well. So let's open that up. Something I'd like to show is this drop-down filter. One of the things that everybody's going to be using is this has skill up. When you select this, anything that is, first time craft bonus is what I wanted to show. So that first time craft bonus, anything that's selected here, means that you have not crafted it before and you're trying to get the first time craft bonus. That first time craft bonus is essentially skill points for the specialization. It is going to be paramount that you focus on getting those whenever you can. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and craft a couple things. See, I made it, got the first time skill bonus. That item's crafted is now gone from the list. Let's go ahead and I'm going to do that with these couple of items as well. Actually, I'm going to do something different. What I'm going to do is, these have a relatively decent chance to get me a skill up. I'm going to get myself up to 25 Jewelcrafting, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we have hit 25 Jewelcrafting. I also learned a few new things at the vendor. A lot more stuff has opened up. You can see some rudimentary gems. That is all of your green quality base, like gem stuff. You can see they require rousing earth. That's like our new primals or our new, elemental items. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a pretty big market for that stuff as well, by the way. Down here you have some jewelry. So we have, here's, a ring, here's a neck. And down here we have profession equipment. You can see this right here is an inscription accessory. So it looks like you can craft equipment that's not for your profession, at least with jewel crafting. This one here is enchanting. This one here is also inscription. And then right here, this one actually is for jewel crafting. You can see that this is a head slot, which these both say profession accessory, but when I try to put it on, like, it only lets me put it here. Just like if I grabbed a toolkit, like for some reason I could put the toolkit there. I don't know if that's really what goes there, but regardless. And then here is the jewel crafting helm item. Let's go ahead and craft that real quick. Now, I got a first time crafting bonus as well. Again, that's super duper important. Here is the crafting item. You can see it gives 20 inspiration and 20 to multi-craft. Let's go ahead and select like something like this. Let's put it on. And there we go. We gained 29 inspiration and 20 multi-craft. Those are, again, more stats. So, inspiration is crit chance. We now have a 7.9% chance to be inspired, and that inspiration will craft it with 42 additional bonus. Again, it's basically crafting crit. That's what it is. Multi-craft is exactly what you think it is. Very, 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 very good, in my opinion. Just because there's other things that can like reduce the amount of materials that you use, but this is something that will literally make additional items. So it's like, what would you rather do? Would you rather have an item have a chance to save you a few materials? Like look at this, 2 rousing, 2 sundered. Maybe you have a chance to save you 1 or 2. Maybe it saves you 1 onyx, maybe it saves you 1 fire, or maybe it saves you 2 onyx or something like that. Would you rather that happen, or would you rather just it proc and give you 2 or 3 even? I've had that happen as well. Obviously, I think multi-craft is just probably the best stat for anything that it's useful for. Multi-craft is pretty insane. But anyway, we'll get into that in my thoughts. But there you go. We have this made with 29 inspiration and 20 multi-craft. You can now see our current skill level, 25. I have nothing else giving us skill level, so it is at 25. And then you can see our inspiration and multi-craft. You can also see that we need 74 to get up to T2, and you can kind of do the math of like, I'm at 25, if this procs at 42, that knocks me up to 67. No matter what, I can't hit T2 quality. That's also things that you can use different materials and potentially move that bar up and be like, oh man, if I use the T2 quality of this, I can hit T2 of this. Like, that's going to be a very big thing, but I'm kind of overstepping a little bit. We just hit 25. Once you hit 25, you now have the ability to pick a specialization. I've gone through, I've looked at all these, I've really, granted I've only had like 4 or 5 hours, but my head hurts. I've been thinking very hard about this stuff and what I would do or what my plans are, and I'll kind of talk to you guys about that and explain my feelings as we go. These all do matter, but they're not, most of them aren't super insane, but they definitely help. You have the Jeweler's Toolkit. Like, this is like general mastery, right? If I were to unlock, first of all, you can only unlock one of these at a time. So this is really going to matter at the beginning of the expansion. Like, it gives me an anxiety thinking about it, because it's going to be super duper duper important that you focus on one thing early, and there's no way to change it as I'm aware of. You're kind of locked in for the most part. So yeah. Now, let's talk about your options. You have the general one. So pulling it in here, you can put points in here. Each point in here will give you additional skill. And as you have additional skill, obviously that will... Let's go ahead and unlock it, because they give you an item here to give you additional 50 of the Dragonflight of like the specialization points, you can see of those new recipes that we crafted, we basically have 6 points. So if I was doing this for real, I could be like, cool, let's go ahead and unlock the base. After we unlock the base, let's go ahead and put 5 points in. Let's apply those changes. What this does is I'm essentially locked here now, and these I can't pick a new one over here until I hit level 50 in Dragonflight Isles Jewelcrafting. So once you kind of select one of these, you're locked in for a bit. 50 is not going to be as easy to get to as you think, at least in my opinion. So here I am. I have 5 points in here. What does that 5 points give me? Well, this says right here, improve the art of jewelcrafting, granting +1 skill per point in this specialization. And then this little sub point on it, after I did 5 points, it was +3. So really that's 5 plus 3. I should have +8 to the skill of a crafted good. If I come back here and look at, let's just take a gem. And I can look here, you see I'm level 25, but I have 33 skill. I have the 25 for my base of my jewel crafting, and I have an additional 8 for, you know, those points that I put into the specialization. Skill is extremely important. Without skill, you're not going to be able to hit higher tiers. Doesn't matter how good your inspiration is. Doesn't matter how good anything else is. You're not going to be crafting stuff at higher qualities unless your skill is there. It's probably pretty obvious that it really is probably the most important stat, is getting your skill up, because you're going to be able to make things that are more valuable. It's just the way that it works. So now there's 33 skill here based on that. And if I were to proc, 33 plus 42, that's 75 or whatnot. So yeah, it looks like I could get an inspiration proc now, and I could actually hit T2 based off of that change alone. But let's go ahead and talk about a few other things. First, I'm going to use this handy dandy little item here. It's going to give me an additional 50. So I'm going to cheat it a little bit, because that's what the beta is for. Is it doing it? It's not doing it? Did it decide not to work? Guess it didn't work. Let me reload real quick. Alright, there we go. It worked. Okay, so we have our 5 base over here. You know, that put our skill up 8, blah, blah, blah. But there's other things that you can go into. There's faceting. Faceting is literally for cutting gems. So, I don't even have any right now. I have like the rudimentary, which I guess it technically works for. But as you get deeper, there's, you know, the specific gems, the, you know, the blue ones, the green ones, the, you know, whatever. You have all the gems, and that's kind of where this is. So if you want to specialize in the air-based gems, if you want to specialize in the earth and the fire and the frost. Now, let's talk a little bit about kind of what I'm thinking. Now, when you look on the vendor, like, let's go here. Let's go to buy a recipe, and you can see, I think it was on the second page, you can see something like this. This is made from the frost sapphires. This is made from, you know, the frost type. And this is a 24 versatility gem. Hell, I will even go ahead and buy it. Let's maybe buy that one, whatever. Let's buy a couple of these. Let's see. Let's buy a different one just to have it. Let me learn these real quick. But I'm thinking about a few things. One of which is, how are we really going to be able to make gold? And I firmly believe that it's not going to be a whole lot different than where Shadowlands is right now in terms of what, give it a month or so. Like, what's going to sell the best? It's going to be server-based goods. So part of me really wants to go into crafting specific gems, but those stack. Those are not server-based items. You can see right here, here's 7 of these. They're stackable, which means they're a commodity, which means everybody's doing it. That means I'm not dealing with everybody on my server when I craft a gem. I'm dealing with everybody who's crafting that gem whatsoever. And if the WoW community has proven anything to me, it's that they don't know how to use the auction house, and they're going to eat each other alive. The demand, or the supply and demand, is not going to work out early to where if you're one of the first ones doing it, you're going to make a killing. But once people catch up a bit, it's going to end up eventually kind of like it is now, to where your ability to make gold is going to suck. And I personally feel that unless you're fully spec'd into a specific gem, like if I'm fully spec'd frost and maybe I haven't gotten to the air stuff, I think once we're 6 months in or something, I am not going to be able to make the air ones whatsoever and make any sort of profit, in my opinion. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that unless you're fully spec'd into it, you're not going to make any profit, and even the people fully spec'd are barely going to make anything. That's just because that's how people seem to be on this game. I don't understand it, but they like to completely eat each other's profits, and I don't get it, because we're all in the same market on something like this. There's no point in doing that, like, yeah, anyway, that's totally different topic. That's something I'm worried about. I initially, since I'm primarily like a casual PvPer, but that's like my main thing I enjoy, I thought about like, okay, well, what's the most useful gem? You could argue that's probably haste. Haste seems to be good for nearly everybody. At least that's my argument. And, I'm like, okay, there's probably going to be a higher demand. Like, more people are probably going to be making the haste specific gems over a different one, in my opinion. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to make a gem, what would I want to make? And I'm like, well, I'm a PvPer, and there's a high chance that, maybe stacking pure versatility is going to be extremely strong in PvP. I don't know if people are going to use like the combination like haste verse, or if they're going to use just haste, or excuse me, just verse. But I can jump to conclusions, I guess, and jump to my own assumption. And I think that's what everybody's going to have to do. They're going to kind of have to pick a route, and they're just going to have to go for it. And that's kind of a scary thought. But anyway, that's kind of my thought, is like, if I'm going to focus on a gem, I think I'm personally going to focus on versatility, because I think there'll be less people making that gem over, like, let's say, haste. Yeah, because I would like to lower the amount of competition I have, because if I lower the amount of competition I have, I can increase my, net gains, right? So for me, that would be focusing on frost. Now, I can't learn this in frost until I get up to level 50, and then I can slam some points into there. Now, when you look at settings, you have improved the art of crafting magnificent jewelry, trinkets, all that kind of stuff. So as you can see here, you have, this is for the art of fitting jewelry and carving stone, gaining one skill per point in this specialization. Improve the delicate art of fitting jewelry and carving stone, gaining 1 skill point. So it's specifically for crafting those things, you'll gain additional skill. And you can see this even says that, like, when you unlock this, you will learn how to sculpt this sculpture, which is a statue that you can place briefly that empowers you. So you can also see, like, as you go through and you look, there is other things that, let's see, can I do, yeah, go to carving. Some of these will tell you, like this one, like once you got into max carving, you would gain the ability to use polished cloth to add a finishing touch. There's different recipes and different things. Learn how to craft, to carve the statue of Tyr's Herald. Like, there's different items, there's different things that are locked behind different points of the, like, skill tree, essentially. So it might be about picking something like that and focusing on getting there first. You really do have options, but, like, you see this side, jewelry, rings, necklace. If you want to be that guy who focuses on that, which, honestly, typically I would think that crafting jewelry might be a bad option, but I do think it's going to be strong early, and it's also something that's going to be server-based. So, honestly, it's probably not a bad idea to be like, I want to be the guy who crafts good neck pieces, for whatever reason. Like, go for it. I think picking one of these subcategories that other people are not picking is probably the best option, right? Most people are going to be making gems. You might want to go a different direction if you want to do jewel crafting. At least you might have a better shot at making high profits. So there's that, and then enterprising, which is like the miscellaneous crafts, the odds and ends, but it also kind of leads into prospecting. So if you're like, okay, I have jewel crafting, but maybe my initial method, since I'm scared of which direction to go, I just want to get the most gains as possible, and try to make money off of just, prospecting. It was extremely strong in Shadowlands there for quite a while, to where you could make money just by buying ore, prospecting it, and make profit off of it. Well, this would be your route. Now, This, going into prospecting, you're going to be gaining 1 resourcefulness per point you spend. And then that resourcefulness, geez, I can't speak. The resourcefulness is basically a chance to use less materials. I have found that the chance is really low and you don't save a whole lot, but we'll talk about stuff in a little bit, but that's at least useful no matter what. Let's pretend that everybody has absolutely everything unlocked and you're at the point where you're easily making, whatever item at T3 quality. If you're making things easily at T3 quality because you've just, you've stuck that much into the profession and, blah, 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 then all of a sudden inspiration isn't useful. Because then you basically can't crit because you can't make something of a higher quality. That's where something that I think is not as good, not nearly as good as resourcefulness, is at least better at that point, because at least you can save something and make gold essentially from saving, as opposed to, inspiration, which would then be an absolute garbage stat for you, because you've kind of reached your max for that, right? So inspiration, very powerful early. It's going to help you be one of the first ones to get to that T2, get to that T3, make money early with inspiration, but it's going to be bad late. My opinion. And again, multi-craft is always going to be good. So anyway, that's the route that you would want to go. This is where you can specialize into glassware. You can specialize into the extravagancies, those kind of finishing reagents and all that kind of stuff. If you want to specialize in that, that's your option. Or if you just want to specialize into saving resources from prospecting and just making the most bang for your buck from prospecting, this is the direction you would go. This is probably the safest choice. Actually, really the safest choice is just taking general skill point plus skill points, because that's helpful for like everything, and that's what's going to allow you to be able to hit those other tiers easier. So really slamming it into here is probably your best option. I like the idea of focusing on prospecting. And then the other idea that I would have for focusing on jewel crafting is picking something very, very specific, whether it's one of the statues, whether it's a necklace, whether it's a very specific type of gem. For me, I'm kind of thinking going the versatility gem and just focusing your points that way. Now, all of that really only matters at the beginning of the expansion, because you'll come to a point where you should have like everything unlocked eventually. But it is really going to matter for those first couple months, in my opinion. It's going to matter a lot. We don't know, but this stuff is actually kind of hard to level. And if it's not hard to level, it's going to be really expensive, in my opinion, at least early. So I think picking your thing early is going to matter more than ever. And I would just give it some thought. Do you want to go the easy route and be like, screw this, I'm just going to get up to prospecting and I'm just going to prospect a bit better, and that's going to be my focus. I just want to get as much from that. Do you want to actually focus on crafting an item like necklace, or do you want to focus on a specific gem? Like that's up to you. I'm torn between focusing on prospecting. Granted, when I put all the points in there, it didn't seem that insane. Was it helpful? Yeah, I was technically saving some resources, but it wasn't. Well, resourcefulness, I believe, is the one that gives you additional resources. Anyway, it was okay, but I think I would like to focus on a specific gem first. But that's me, right? That's my opinion. So let's get back into this. So here we are trying to get our crafting up to 50, so I can at least open up the second specialization. You can see that I am crafting the versatility gem. It is easy. This is what's going to allow you to get up to 50 in the jewel crafting relatively easy, is focusing on gems specifically. You can see there, let's stop for a second. You can see I hit a multi-craft. And I didn't just hit a multi-craft, I think the multi-craft hit a multi-craft, because I got 3 gems out of that singular craft rather than just 1. Scroll up here, you can see here's an inspired creation, but it stayed 1 star, I guess, 1 diamond, whatever tier 1, whatever you want to call it. I'll probably call it star, just because I'm used to that kind of thing. But anyway, you have the tier 1 quality item. Even though it got inspired, the inspiration was not high enough to make it to the next level. I need 164. I have 53. and I gain an additional 92 if it's inspired. So not quite enough. Now, you might be asking, well, what can I do? What can I do to hit that tier quality? Man, like I'm making these frost gems, and man, that would have been nice if that multi-craft, or would have been nice if that inspired actually hit T2. Well, that comes from what you use, and the awakened ones are the highest tier that can be used. However, this one could be changed out, and you can use different tiers. So let me buy a little bit from the vendor. That's the Mal one, right? That should be over here. Let's buy a little bit from the vendor. I'll buy like 200 of each real quick, just to show it off. Alright, so back to the gym. Where's it at? Yes, there we go. So let's go ahead and use the tier 2 version. You can see, let's go tier 1 to tier 2. So here's tier 1. Oops. Tier 1, 53 skill. But when I use tier 2, it's going to gain additional skill. So I'm going to go from 53 skill up to 87 skill because I've used a higher quality resource. This 87 skill means it's going to be 87 plus the inspiration, which right now is 92. That can give us a proc. That can give us the T2 quality. So let's go back to the crafting, and let's see if I can be inspired. Again, because of what we have into it, the inspiration chance is not exactly insane. There's different things like the jewelry, and there's other points you can put in to increase your inspiration chance, or any of the other ones like casting speed, multi-craft, stuff like that. Multi-craft seems to be hard to get. But of course, since I'm trying to become inspired, I'm not going to hit a single attempt here, it looks like. There we go. It took a while. But I was inspired. I made a T2. Now, if we go ahead and look at these, the difference between T1 and T2 is 4 versatility. This one's 24, this one's 28. Obviously, this one's better. It's going to sell for more. You know, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. But that's essentially what happens, and that is the inspiration bonus that procced. So if you want to get this up to, you know, T3, you're going to need an awful lot more skill, basically. And that skill is going to be garnered through inspiration, a mix of inspiration and skill primarily. And then a lot of that skill is going to come from the items you use, it's going to come from your actual skill level, and it's going to come from the resources you use. Like if I use T3 of the Mal, you can see I now have 126, and it says I need 164 to hit there, and inspiration will give me another 92, so I'm pretty sure I can't hit T3, but it doesn't technically show. I need more skill level. That's what I need. More skill level will help push this bar and get me into that next section. Because you can see, like, even using the T3 material, I'm mostly getting T1, you know, like this is more than likely going to be one of those situations that if you have a bunch of these T3 Mallies, you know, Malachite, you'll probably want to sell them on the auction house, and then you buy cheaper T2 materials, probably, or cheaper T1 materials if your proc can give you a T1. Like, let's go back to T1, 58 plus 92. So yeah, you gotta do math there, right? Okay, cool. So that's going to be at 150. 150 is not going to be enough to hit the T2. So it's like if I wanted to hit T2, I need to use this T2 quality material. That way the inspiration could at least hit T2. But there's no point in using T3, because if I use T3, it's not going to help me get to the next tier. I would just be basically wasting money at that point. So that's essentially how that works. I am now 50 in the specialization, but now you can do other fun stuff with it. This is when I can go and focus on crafting a specific thing, right? Like I've hit 50, I can now pick another specialization. I want to unlock the faceting. Reason being is I've decided I want to focus on frost gems. That's what I've been crafting. So in order to get to here, I need to spend 10 points here. So let's use knowledge. We're going to use 10, apply changes. What do we gain? We gain +1 skill for all gem cuts per point in this specialization. So we've gained an additional +10 skill regardless. Let's go back. Where is it? Yeah, the frost. So now you can see, like, I've gained an additional. We had that +8, now it's a +18. I've now gained additional skill for crafting anything over here. So I gained 10 skill, and you get additional resourcefulness. Does it say resourcefulness? No, it doesn't show. It's one of those stats that doesn't seem to show. But you also gain resourcefulness as you're going up. Now I can also use polished cloth to help finish gems, to make better quality gems now. 5 inspiration when cutting gems, so additional inspiration as well. And I can now learn a subspec. I'm going to learn the frost subspec. And we're going to put 10 points into there for now. As I went up, I was able to learn a couple new recipes, and I also gained additional skill for frost, and each point also gave me an additional skill for frost. So now you can see that I've been putting points into frost specifically, both the base as well as frost specifically. You can see we now have a +33 to the skill, which is going to make it an awful lot easier. Now it's 83 plus our inspiration bonus of 92. So now it's a lot easier to hit that T2, that T3 quality, which is awesome because that puts us up like 175 or something. So that tells me that, like, we can use T1 and no problem easy hit T2. What is T2 going to be? Oops. I hate that it doesn't change it. 117. 117 plus the 92. I don't know if that's enough to hit T3. It probably isn't. Because I think do I need to hit 275? Let's see. Does this bump me up to the next category? It does not. Dang. Let's craft a couple here just to... Wow, that still made T1. Ouch. Yeah, that's one of those things that it's so close, but it's still not worth because I'm stuck barely. Yeah, there's the inspiration. It didn't hit T3. You know, so again, another situation where even that, not quite enough. But what do we need? We need... I'm at 152 when I use this, so I need to get to 164, so I need another 12 skill. Let's take care of that the easy way. And let's do 5. That'll give me 10. Let's do that. Now that we have that, we should have enough skill to where if we're going to go down and craft now on this, we now have a base 98, the 50 of our level, plus 48 from the other additional things we have for skill. And now if I go to use a T2, it bumps it up here, but if I go use a T3, now it's saying, hey, it is guaranteed to hit T2, right? We needed 164, we're at 167. We're guaranteed to hit T2, and now if we go down here, we say, oh, well, you have to hit 275 to hit T3. And now it's a matter of, can we even hit 275? Our inspiration bonus right now is 92. 92 plus 167 is unfortunately not enough to hit T3, which means there's no point in us still using T3 materials. We still might as well use T2 materials. Well, yes and no. If we use T2 materials, we're still stuck in T1. But our inspiration will give us T2, so if we want to guarantee that we always use T... If we want to guarantee that we always get T2 material, so we need to use T3, that now guarantees T2, but we will not be able to hit T3, but we're always guaranteed T2. Now, how close am I? 92, and then the 67, so we're not that far off. So I would just need to be able to come up with some additional skill, which we can do from the vendor or whatever other thing we want to do. Let's see, not vendor. I'm talking about we can learn another Jewelcrafting. Let's see, go in here, learn something that will actually give us some skill ups. Come in here, make whatever it is, and get some, you know, additional skill. You have these glasswares, by the way, that like I think one of them you get normally as you're going through, and then you'll unlock other ones. Like if I specialized in frost, I can now get one that when I crack it open, it'll give me some of those like frost gems and stuff. Specifically, I think it's this one. So like now if I had fractured glass, I can then do this, and this is a daily cooldown. It's like 20 hours or whatnot. When I open it up, it gives me a bunch of gems, and it doesn't seem like they share a cooldown, from what I can tell, to where you might be crafting, you know, all of these every day, getting on, opening up your little glory thing, opening up your little patience thing, getting some free gems, and moving on. But anyway, that's essentially how this system works. The next step that you would do between your actual jewel crafting level, between the items you use and the skill points you put in, you want to get yourself to the point of having enough knowledge so that you can guarantee T3 quality. So if I do that, we can now cut Stormy, we can now cut Illuminated, 5 skill, plus the additional points here. I think that's enough, pretty sure. Let's go down and look. Where's it at? Stormy. So this one that we were crafting, we now have a base 128. However, let's switch this. Ooh, just short. But now we're all the way up here. We have 197, and our inspiration is an additional 92, which means that if we were to hit inspired, we would then be hitting T3 materials. We also have finishing reagents that we can use. Let me see if I can find some of those real quick. Alright, so I went ahead and I got myself a little bit more points, you know, a little bit more skill in jewel crafting, as well as spent some other points so that we can get our overall skill up. So if I go down to this Stormy now, now it shows at 224, and if I use this, I have now 259. You need 275 to guarantee. So my crits will be there, but there's also other optional reagents, and I believe if you have this polishing cloth, you can use that. I have Wispateer. Wispateer are created through the profession with Artisan's Metal. They give 30 skill. So if I go ahead and, like, let's say if I go ahead and apply this, I should now be guaranteed. Let's see, did it actually do it? There we go. So now it's using the T3 and it's using the 30 skill. I now have 289 skill, which means I am guaranteed to make T3 of this gem now. And there you have it. Now we got a bunch of T3 gems coming through. As you can also see, like this one, I wish it would say, does it say how much regen saved? This is the resourcefulness. So it saved resources. I don't really know how much it saved. Doesn't say. But, you know, I'm guessing it probably saved from using one or two of the Awakened. I don't know, it uses 311, so if I see that again. Either way, that's how you make threes. But like now, if we were to be inspired, which I think it would show us if we did, if we were to hit inspiration, it wouldn't matter, because we can make T3s regardless. And I wasn't paying attention for the resourcefulness there. But that's why something like resourcefulness, as much as like a 1.1% chance to use fewer tradable reagents. So that means anything, none of these are bind on pickup. So I probably just saved from using, like, you know, one of these or something. But that's the issue that I have, not issue, but that's the issue with like inspiration. Inspiration is going to be insane early on in the expansion, just because it's going to allow you to proc higher tiers sooner than you would typically be able to get there, which is going to be extremely valuable to pump out valuable reagents and other craftable goods. It's just super strong. But when you get to this point, and once you get to the point where like maybe you're guaranteed and you're just always crafting T3, like if I had the additional 20 points here, that would give me enough to get over to 275. So if I was like level 100 jewel crafting right now, I wouldn't even have to use anything down here at all, and I would just be able to craft with T3 here. I would just be able to craft T3, straight up T3 quality, no issues. And at that point, inspiration doesn't do anything. So again, inspiration is an early stat, in my opinion. After that, as much as resourcefulness isn't exactly good, it will at least give you something back. You will save some money or make some money, however you want to look at it, by having resourcefulness. And then multi-craft is insane, because if you do hit on the multi-craft, as you saw, like being able to create 3 instead of 1, you know, especially like, let's say you're using Wisp and you're using different things to get that higher proc, and it happens to proc and you happen to get extra, you know, procs are good, right? At least those procs are. So anyway, that is the system as a whole. You kind of saw my perspective and how, and the kind of things I'm thinking. I have my own thoughts on everything, in terms of like what I want to do as a player, and it's either going to be focusing on just yielding more from prospecting and just focusing on prospecting, or I will more than likely do a specific gem. I will probably not do haste, just because I assume a lot of people are. I will probably go a different direction, but that's probably a focus. It's probably one of those two things. And then there's a part of me that's interested in maybe like, oh man, how would it be to like focus on necklaces or focus on rings? So that's kind of the option. Again, this is that main one. This gives you base skill. As you saw, like, skill is super important. It takes a lot of it to get up to that next level, to get up to that next tier. You're not doing anything wrong by focusing on anything that gives you skill. Like your first 30 or something here is probably not a bad idea. You know, here, especially early, 30 points, these would give you inspiration. You know, you can gain a lot of inspiration going that way. So going 30 into the skill and then pumping it into inspiration so that you get quick skill early on, you get some quick inspiration early on, have higher chance of proccing, better yield. You know, that's a very good option in my opinion. And then if I didn't do something like this, it's, again, either going the prospecting route early, because again, I'll have everything, right? And then, or picking a gem early. Honestly, with all the skill and stuff that's here, and the skill and stuff that's here, I wouldn't be surprised if just going the general skill talent and focusing on inspiration might just be the better play than focusing on a specific gem early. But, you know, that's for you to decide. And that's the scary part, is no one's going to have a clear-cut answer, and it's going to be a little bit trial and error. And I'm worried about some professions I pick that I like have an idea and I go into it, and then maybe I see a video or see somebody else's and I go, holy crap, why didn't I think of that? You know, they're making so much more money than me, and now I'm sad. You know, I think that's just going to legitimately be an issue. So if you're worried about that, I may potentially stick with something safer, like maybe going the prospecting route. That is an option, because you do need these other gems, because even like these other gems, they can be broken down into some of the other dust and the other stuff you need. So yeah, there you have it. So I was going to film my closing here, and then I noticed, oh look, I'm actually wearing that Jewelcrafting helmet. Looks really stupid. I don't know, it's not that bad, I guess. It's interesting, to say the least. I don't know, does that always stay on? Does it go away in combat? I don't know. I'm gonna go find out. Just for your information, I came out here and smacked a mob, and my helmet went back to normal. So, there you go. That doesn't just stay on all the time. Maybe it only does it when you're actually working with the profession. Here, can I craft anything out here? Do I need... Yeah, look. I make tools. Ta-da! I just made something. I have my stupid helmet on. And then... Come here, you. I don't have key binding. Let's go ahead and do that. Ta-da! Helmet back on. So, the more you know. So with that, I would like to thank everybody for watching. That's my initial look at Jewelcrafting and kind of how the leveling goes, kind of what some of the stats mean, kind of my feelings about my focus, what I think you should focus on, or like I think the options that you have for focusing. I think that I'm assuming a lot of the professions are very similar like this, that it's going to be a little bit of a long haul process, especially if you want to be able to do everything. It's going to be extremely important to pick something very specific early and focus on that. And I think it's also important to try to pick something that other people aren't, because as much as, like, I don't know, let's just take haste gems for example. Let's say haste gems are the ones that are sold the most. Like, that just means that there's probably also going to be more people selling them. So I'd rather sell something that sells less, but there's less competition because more people are focused on other stuff. That's kind of the thought process I have in general. And I also truly do believe that at least once we get into the expansion, your best options are going to be crafting something that's server specific. Which would then mean like those things like those rings and necks might end up outclassing stuff quicker than you may think. I'm not... Yeah, it's hard to say what I'm going to do, but I have at least a couple initial ideas of which direction I'm going to go to, at least with Jewelcrafting early. And my plan is to check out all the rest of the professions and kind of just get a general idea of how they level, what should I be looking for, what are my options for crafting, what are potential areas that I think I can make money with early. But again, the general principle is server specific, I think, is your best option. Like, the thing that's going to make you the most money over the long haul is going to be like, if you're blacksmithing, if you're that guy that can make helms or whatever. I haven't looked at it yet, but making server specific goods is where the money's going to be at. And I think if you're somebody who enjoys doing that in general, you're going to be doing really, really well. We all know that in my initial videos, the way that I was making money was making like consumable goods and things of that nature. Just because we're all on the same economy, that's not really going to be a thing anymore. It's going to be a thing at the start of the expansion because obviously there's going to be a huge demand and limited supply. So of course that kind of stuff is going to work early, as everything will. But I do think the long haul option is to maybe not go for the money early, but go for the income over time. And if that's the case, then I think a lot of professions I'm going to focus on server specific goods personally. So with that, you guys, thank you very much for watching. Please go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Help me out. Let's get over that 500 sub mark. I know YouTube went weird and said I had like 500 something, then less, and then more, and then less. I don't know what the heck I have at this point. So need to get over that 500 so that YouTube can actually give me the community tab so I can help stay in contact with you guys. That's my current goal. I don't really have any other goals other than that right now. I'm happy I got into beta. Please let me know if there's any specific thing you want me to look at. There's tons of things I want to look at. I need to look at all the professions. I want to level an evoker. I'm going to check out a little bit in Dragonflight. I want to mess around with like actual skinning and mining and gathering in general. Like, there's tons of things I need to look at. But today I wanted to just focus on one specific profession and give you kind of my initial rundown, and then my rundowns after this will be much less extensive because this is the rundown that I'll kind of have of, how you level, what things mean, things of that nature. So hopefully you guys found some of this information useful. Please let me know what you guys want to see next. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow.